Good evening, my name is Dova and welcome to Walking and Talking in Video Games. Tonight we'll be walking through Tears of the Kingdom while I gently talk you to sleep, discussing whatever my ADHD brain decides it wants to think about. I'm so glad you're here and I want you to know that you are safe here and you can achieve anything you want. Now, let's get to walking. Alright, I'm excited because we're finally in a Switch game. I have not had a capture card until very recently, and then even whenever I got it, it was sitting by my desk for a long time without me actually figuring out how to use it. So finally I got up my bravery and took it out of the box and set it up, because it's not just as simple as plug and play. I mean, it's not that much more complicated than just like a plug and play kind of situation. But basically, you have to set it up in OBS, which is the recording software that I and many others use. So it was a matter of figuring out how to do all of that. Ooh, my bad. Sorry, Miss Ma'am. Oh, that reminds me. This person, so one of my coworkers refers to one of my other coworkers, calls him Mr. Sir, and the other day I was on the phone with someone who was coming to visit our location, and he kept calling me Miss Ma'am, and I thought that was so funny, and it's like the antithesis to Mr. Sir, so, but yeah, it was either Miss Ma'am or Miss Lady. I don't remember either. They're both funny to me, but yeah. So yeah, I finally got my capture card set up in OBS, and it wasn't that complicated. It was just a matter of following these instructions, really. But following the instructions is the hard part, isn't it? I don't know. I get so sick of trying to follow lengthy instructions, and thankfully these weren't that long. But when you're staring at a page of something you're not that interested in, and it's just a lot of words and a lot of things that you have to do, and oh my gosh, I don't think I could put a Lego set together. Actually, I think if I had to, I would probably prefer to use a video, because just looking at a picture, I tend to get kind of confused, I guess. And I get rid of Tulin. There we go. But yeah, I tend to get a little confused with just pictures. It makes me sound so dumb, but I mean, I don't know. It can be a lot. So I don't know if that's just a me thing or not, but yeah, I don't know. There's enemies down there. But let's see, there's a couple of things that I had on my list to talk about, and I actually had used the internet for topics today, because not all of them, but I don't know, I just I feel like my brain is kind of dead. I've been putting in a lot of overtime at work lately, and it's, well, not like a crazy amount compared to some people, but I don't know, just spending the entire day at work makes me feel so exhausted. But I can't complain. I mean, overtime's good money, right? So, but yeah, so I was just feeling a little unable to think. I guess is a good way to put it. So yeah, here we are. But anyway, one thing I wanted to talk about, something I've been thinking about, well, not thinking about, just something that popped into my mind recently, was songs between couples. How do they actually, because okay, so sorry, when you're watching a movie and there's this old couple and a song comes on and then one of them goes, "Oh, this is the song that was playing at the club the day that I met you." And they get together and start dancing, and then their relationship's healed, and then yay, movie's over. But no, you know what I mean though. Does that actually happen? Like, I mean, I don't know if a lot of people go out dancing that much. I know some people do, but like, does that happen? Like, do say you're like out at a country bar, and all of a sudden a song starts playing, and you make eye contact, sorry, with someone across the dance floor, and then bam, 2 years later you're getting engaged. Like, does that actually happen? Does it actually happen? I don't know, because like otherwise how do you get a song with your partner, like, other than just like picking one together? Is that how it just usually happens? Like, I don't know, if you have ever had a song with a partner, please tell me how you got that song with your partner, because so one time, or back in high school, my partner at the time and we wanted to have a song together. So what we did, but like we didn't know how to like pick a song. So basically just one night I was like going through, we both liked Coldplay, right? And so I was going through a bunch of songs that are like Coldplay and Coldplay-esque, mostly just like straight Coldplay, basically listening to every song they ever made, and picked out like 2 songs that I really liked, A Sky Full of Stars and Yellow. And I was leaning more toward A Sky Full of Stars, but like his vibe was more Yellow, so he picked Yellow. And I really like Yellow. I like both of them. Like, Yellow has grown on me a lot more than it did back then, and apparently Yellow is actually one of their most popular songs. But yeah, I feel bad because I totally made fun of his taste in music a lot when we were in high school. Maybe I was a little bit of a bully, but like, his taste in music was so boring. I guess him as a person, no, this sounds so mean, but him as a person, he was kind of a boring person. Like, his favorite animal was fish, and not trying to be mean to anyone whose favorite animal is fish, but they're kind of a boring pet. And no, like, setting up a tank, like making that habitat for them, that's pretty cool, and you can make it really pretty and really awesome, but like, you can't take fish out and hang out with them. They don't have the capacity to love you. I don't know. Snakes also don't have the capacity to love you, but at least you can take them out and hang out with them. Sorta. But they are kind of similarly boring because they don't really like... I don't know. No, I don't know. But setting up my snake's tank was super cool in the way that I was saying that, like, setting up an aquarium seems cool. But anyway, but yeah, and then his taste in music was, like, super boring. Either Coldplay or Imagine Dragons has a song, I think it's called Amsterdam. I think. I might be getting that wrong, but I think. So, but like, if you listen to that song, that will show you what I'm talking about. Basically, like, he and I both really liked Coldplay, but like different ends of the spectrum. Like, I liked the songs that were more... Let me see if my Majora's Mask will keep him from being able to see me. But yeah, I liked the songs that were more like up-tempo and kind of like swing rhythm, stuff like that. And he... Oh, maybe not. Run away. And he liked the songs that were very... I don't want to say like monotone, but just very like... very boring. No, I don't know how to explain, but the songs that were like slower, but like also less... like, the rhythm didn't really like go all over the place. Like, it just kind of like... oh my gosh, I do not know how to explain what I'm trying to say. Basically, his taste in music was boring. To me, in my opinion. But anyone can think that anything is boring, and I'm sure plenty of people think that my taste in music is boring. And probably in different ways, but, you know, just like, I don't know. I also remember he wanted to be a Marine, but how? This Octorok will not stop targeting me. Let me see if I can just run away. He wanted to be a marine biologist, and which is cool. Like, that's a cool profession. I don't know if he ended up being that. I haven't seen any updates on him, like, since we graduated high school. But I remember, like, looking into the salary of a marine biologist, and I was like, we can't live on this. And they don't make, like, a crazy low salary, but, like, in today's economy, and this was actually back in the economy of the 2010s, so it's even worse today. So I was like, I gotta get a good job so that we can afford to, like, have a good life, a comfortable, decent life. What the heck? I got hit by a rock and was sent flying into the air. That's crazy. How do I... Goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. Let me just, like, get out of this situation and then come back. Okay. The Octorok has been dispatched. Finally. Jeez. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I was like, well, I am gonna have to get a good job because, growing up, I wanted to be a veterinarian. But sometime around 10th grade, I was like, you know what? Actually, never mind, I don't want this at all. Because, like, vet school and the competitiveness and the stress and the pressure, and it just didn't seem that interesting to me anymore. So, and then, like, a couple years later when I was in college, I ended up working at a vet clinic, and that cemented my decision. I hated it. But anyway, so for some reason, even though I had decided I didn't want to be a vet anymore, I was like, well, let me just become an anesthesiologist. They make over $200,000 a year. We can live a great life. So he can be a marine biologist, do his passion, and I'll make the money. Yeah, no, that did not happen. I probably still would have been miserable. And oh my gosh, the pressure of, like, somebody's life being in your hands. Part of the reason I didn't want to be a vet or work at a vet's office, because you've got creatures' lives in your hands. Imagine if it's a person. Oh my god. Well, like, I care about animals more than people generally. Well, not like care, but like animals more than people generally, because people are evil. Animals are innocent. So, I mean, there are tons of good people. This is a debate that I'm not going to get into right now, but just, like, I don't know, people, animals are too pure for this world. People are, and I include myself in that, we are, we're good and we're bad. I don't know, I don't think that humans are inherently good or bad. I think we're both. But anyway, that's a super philosophical topic for maybe another time. But yeah, so I was like, I'm going to go through this miserable experience so that my partner, my future husband, can be a marine biologist and live his dreams. But yeah, no, I was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. That dream died pretty shortly. I mean, I was looking into, like, the amount of schooling you would need to go to school, you know, as long as a doctor. 8 years in medical school. Oh my gosh, 8 years after already having done 13 years like growing up. Oh, I hate school. I hate school with a passion. I would not go back. Ugh. But yeah, so I don't know how I got on this tangent, but yeah, so songs with your partners. Basically, the only way that we had a song was because we wanted one and we specifically went and picked one out. But how do you get a song with your partner otherwise? That's what Because does anybody have that experience where you make eyes across the club and then fall in love? I don't know. I don't really think so. I don't know, maybe. Maybe you meet someone at that country bar and you're like talking, you buy her a drink, and then like a song comes on and you're like, hey, you want to dance? And she's like, oh no, I'm too shy. And you're like, well, let me show you. And then you get on the dance floor and you dance together and you have a great time, and then that becomes your song. Maybe Your Man by Josh Turner. Just kidding, that's not that was a little different than a love song. That's not quite but yeah, so yeah, let me know if you have ever had a song with your partner and like it kind of came about organically. Like it wasn't you two trying to find a song together, but it like you kind of just ended up with the song together. And it's one thing if that song is like you have a shared favorite song, but it's not like a love song. But I'm talking about like love songs mostly. Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a love song, but like it might just be that like your song is like every time Cotton Eye Joe plays, you have to get up and dance to it, and that's pretty awesome too. I don't know, but yeah. Let me know. Okay, totally off topic, but usually I'm pretty good at like stringing topics together, but like whenever I have multiple topics written down that I want to talk about, then I generally don't know how to tie them together, so I just kind of jump from one to the next, and it's maybe a little bit jarring, but I'm doing my best out here. But anyway, I was thinking about, so I went on a cruise to Mexico a couple years ago, and we went on like an alcohol tour whenever we were there, because it was like a little bit more than just a wine tour. I mean, it was Mexico. We had tequila, obviously. So, but whenever we went to the winery, that's the word, the tour guide was like telling us about wine while we were on the way, and like the proper way to drink it, the proper way to hold a glass, blah blah blah. She also mentioned like if you're buying wine for someone you know and you don't know like what kind they would like sweet, bitter, dry, whatever, and just go off of their coffee preferences, because if they like their coffee super sweet, then they're going to want a sweet wine. If they drink their coffee black, they're going to want like a super bitter red, and that's going to be their preference. And I guess maybe that's generally true. I don't like wine at all. I think it tastes way too much like alcohol, and I hate the taste of alcohol. However, I do like coffee, and I like my coffee. Okay, my like terrible joke about coffee is I like it as white as my skin. Because I like it pumped full of creamer, basically, and like super sweet. Not like super super sweet, but pretty sweet. I like the taste of coffee, but I don't like it super bitter. And like just think of like coffee ice cream. I love coffee ice cream. So or like McDonald's Frappuccinos. They're not bitter at all. Coffee ice cream, McDonald's Frappuccinos, not bitter at all. But they taste like coffee, and I love that taste of coffee. Let me unequip my stuff because it's like clanging as I move around. But so I like the taste of coffee, but I don't like the taste of coffee. I like the taste of coffee, but I don't like the bitterness of coffee. But so usually what I'll do is I'll get a creamer that's like sweetened. So I don't like just milk in my coffee, and it's not only for the fact that it's not inherent like naturally sweet, but also for the fact that it kind of makes the coffee taste weird. I don't know how to explain, but if you know what I'm talking about, let me know. But it does, it like makes the coffee taste, I do not know how to explain it. It just gives it like a weird taste. So I don't like just milk or like half and half. I mean, half and half tastes like pretty much nothing, but I like the sweetened creamer. So that's my go-to. And also I heard, well, I read on Reddit recently that you're supposed to use that creamer like within a week, and I'm like, I only have coffee once a week, so I hope that that's not true, because I always buy the big jugs of it, and so it lasts a long time. But I don't know, someone said, and now I'm kind of concerned there might be mold in my creamer or something, but I'm not I'm not keen on checking. But anyway, so yeah, I guess that's like pretty much all I had to say about that. Ugh, the tequila on that tour was kind of miserable because it also tastes very strongly of alcohol. I wish I liked tequila and margaritas and stuff. Wait, tequila, is that the word? No, margaritas, that's the word. Margaritas have tequila in them? I don't know. But like, yeah, no, we were in Mexico, of course we had margaritas. That's what I meant to say earlier. But, and they told us the story about the invention of the margarita, and I don't know if this is actually a true story, but basically there was this girl named Margarita, and she would always order her drink, her alcohol, the same way, and it's like, I forget how exactly a margarita is made, but basically like with tequila and lime or something like, no, I don't know, I don't remember, but anyway, no, that's pretty much all the story I remember, other than like something happened to her or something, so they kind of, the bartender like immortalized the drink in her honor, something like that. So, and thus the margarita was born. But yeah, basically when the ones that I got, I just gave away because they would give them for, not for free, but for free, quote unquote, because like with purchase of the tour. So I just get mine, and I snuck back in the line with somebody else and got extras, but of course I gave them away because I didn't like them. But I don't know, I just can't stand the taste of alcohol, can't stand the way it burns my throat on the way down. So if I do drink, it's gotta be something that doesn't taste like alcohol, like a spiked lemonade or something. A Truly, or a White Claw, or I don't know. But yeah, so that's where I stand on that topic. But yeah, coffee, love it, hate it, couldn't live without it. And I don't drink coffee for like to keep me awake. I mean, I have ADHD. The only thing that stimulants do is make me fall asleep. But I do like the taste. But I always put so much sugar in my coffee, which makes me feel like I shouldn't drink as much coffee because I shouldn't be having so much sugar. I have realized that most of my sugar consumption comes from the things that I drink rather than things that I eat, because I don't eat sugar that much. Like not big on sweets. Even like breakfast, I don't really eat cereal. I eat breakfast sandwiches. I don't eat sugar that much. I don't like candy really, but I drink a ton of sugar. I love Coke. Well, because pretty much all drinks are sugary unless it's water. Like, I think sodas, Gatorade, chocolate milk. There's regular milk, I guess, but you don't drink that with dinner. Well, probably not chocolate milk either, but, you know, like all these things, like, what else? I feel like I've covered a good majority of things that could be drunketh. But yeah, anyway, they all have sugar, and I am trying to like be better about choosing water. but it's so hard. Water is so boring. I am not a fan of boring. And, oh, looks like I have a friend online. Yeah, I'm not a fan of boring. Not in my food, not in my friends or partners, and I don't know. And I don't know. I just think a healthy dose of like, when it comes to people, I think a healthy dose of weird is necessary. Helps keep life interesting. So I don't know. I just have a hard time with boring things, and at least like ice water makes water more enticing. But okay, so I went up on the side of this mountain. This is off topic, but I went up on the side of this mountain in this game to search for a shooting star that fell, and I cannot find it. I don't know where it fell, but evidently it's not here. Oh well. I don't see it down there. Whatever. Yeah, so I need to stop using the words yeah, so as a filler, like a leading back into what I was saying previously, but it's because I can't think of what I was saying previously, and then I don't want to just sit here in silence, so I don't really know what to do. Anyway, let me look at the other things that okay, so here's like a list of like questions or like conversation topics. So this one is the weirdest ways I've changed over the years. From little habits to major perspective shifts, how time subtly shapes us. That is a good question. What are the weirdest ways I've changed over the years? Well, I don't know, weird, because like there's a lot of like natural ways that I've changed, like for example not wanting to be a veterinarian anymore even though I wanted to be one my whole life. Freaking wolves, oh my goodness. What are some weird ways that I've changed? I don't know, whenever I was a kid, at some point in my childhood, my favorite animal changed from unicorns to dragons, and it has never been like a normal animal. Although if I had to pick a real animal, it'd probably be dogs. I do love dogs, but like dragons are so freaking cool, and there's so many really cool ones in media and stuff too. But weird ways that I've changed, I don't know, it's a hard question. What are some weird ways that you've changed over the years? Let me know, because I need some inspiration. At some point, well, I don't know, because like none of the things that I can think of seem weird to me. I mean, at some point my favorite type of game switched from like pet simulators to role-playing games, especially open world role-playing games. But that's not weird, that's natural. Oh, what about just like embarrassing things from my childhood? I did have a brief crush on Justin Bieber, because obviously, well, no, because and I do not like the guy now, but I mean, when you're like in, how old was I even? I don't even remember. When you're like a child and you're a girl, I know most of my audience is guys, so you don't get it. But, you know, yeah. One year for my birthday, shoot, maybe it was like my 13th birthday, I think so. A family friend got me like a teen magazine, and I never had one before, never bought one again. But like, she was like, well, you're a teenager now, here you go. And Justin Bieber was in it, and I was like, oh, he is cute. And I also really liked Selena Gomez at the time, like that was back when they were dating. And this is like, I feel like I'm gossiping, but because I was a kid who watched Wizards of Waverly Place. And that's how I knew who Selena Gomez was. And she seems like a really cool person. But yeah, what are some other embarrassing things? For some reason, I don't know if this is like embarrassing or not, but I used to kind of think that animals didn't really make mistakes. Like, obviously I could do bad things, like dogs can poop in the house and chew up your furniture and stuff like that, but for some reason I just thought that they were like naturally super coordinated, and I don't know, I guess just the dogs that I was around were relatively coordinated until they like got old and blind and deaf and stuff like that. But I had adopted this puppy and I was hanging out at my old neighbor's house and they have a pool, and he was like running around the backyard and I was watching him. We were chatting with the neighbors, and then all of a sudden, like, he tries to squeeze between this little statue that's on the side of the pool and like the water, like basically putting himself on a tiny little sliver of patio to like walk on, and it wasn't enough space, and he slipped and fell in the pool. And like, for some reason, that moment was my epiphany that dogs can make mistakes. I know it sounds super weird, but like, I don't know, I just hadn't really seen a dog do something like that up to that point, so it was like a whoa moment for me. Uh-oh. Does he know? Oh, yeah, he knows. Majora's Mask does not work on everything, huh? I wish it did. Problem solved. Okay, but yeah, so but back to the original prompt. Yeah, I don't know what ways that I've changed over the years. I mean, there are plenty of ways that I've changed over the years, but I don't know what weird ways I've changed over the years. That's a tough question. Let's move on. Let's move on to a different question. If I think of something else, then I'll come back to it, but things I thought I'd have figured out by now. Ooh, that one kind of cuts me right to the core. I definitely thought I would be, like, married. Back when I was a kid, I thought that 25-year-old me would be, like, married and have kids and own a house and be a veterinarian and all that good stuff. I even imagined, like, meeting I'm not 25, I'm 26. I forget how old I am. But yeah, I would imagine meeting, like, the version of me in her 20s, and let's just say all that stuff, not quite there. I mean, I've come to the conclusion that I do not want kids, ever. But I don't know, the other stuff, like, I'm in no rush, but not for either of those things, honestly, because, you know, the time will come when it comes, and like, as for a house, I don't feel ready to settle in the city that I'm in, but I don't know what city I'd want to live in, so I don't have a need to buy a house. And I was talking to this military guy, like, months ago, but he had recently bought a house in the city that he's stationed in, and I was like, why would you do that? You don't know if you're gonna end up here. Like, you could get moved away tomorrow. Why would you buy a house if you don't know where you're settling? He was like, well, if I get stationed somewhere else, I can just rent it out. And I was like, but then, like, the one house that you own, that you're paying a mortgage on, you can't afford to buy another one, is in a completely different city. Doesn't that kind of suck? Like, this is, I don't know, I just, like, I guess, but, and then what if your tenants destroy your house? I don't know, I mean, yeah. Whatever makes you happy, dude, I suppose. But I don't know, I just, like, when I do buy a house, it's gonna be when I feel ready to settle into wherever I am. And I don't mean settling in a bad way, like the way you'd settle for a job or a person or a city, but I mean, like, settling, like, ready to get cozy wherever I am. But yeah, so, oh, I did it again. I said, but yeah. Or so, yeah. No, I don't know. Back to what I was saying about not liking when things are boring. It's kind of, well, it's an ADHD thing, but I feel like I'm kind of struggling to figure out how to stick with something when the excitement of it has died down. Like there have been so many hobbies that I've gotten into that, like, I do it a lot with art. Like, I'll pick up a new medium, like resin art, certain types of painting, things like that, and do it for like a month and then abandon it. And because of that, I have so many random art supplies, which is kind of cool because then whenever I do decide to make a project, I've got so many things to work with. Like, I mix my medias all over the place. But there's certain things that I want to be able to stick with, like my journey of learning Spanish and like sticking with working out every day and things like that, like eating better, whatever. Or like YouTube, working on projects like this. I want to be able to stick with things. I have such a hard time sticking with things. It's because, like, I can only fixate on, like, say 2 things at once. Like, right now it's Spanish and YouTube, and my excitement for YouTube has died down a lot from what it used to be. Therefore, I really have to push myself to actually, my goodness, really have to push myself to actually, like, sit down and record and edit, and, like, because there are the things that I would rather be doing. But it used to be that I was excited to sit down and record, and I want that back, and I don't know how to get that back. But like, this is a thing that I want to do, and I want to do it for years. So if I'm gonna do it for years, then I need to get that love for it back. And it's not that I don't like it. Like, I like what I do. If I hated it, I would just stop and find something else. But I don't know, part of the issue is, I guess I get a lot of my motivation from, like, external factors, which I know is not a good thing, but, like, it's just kind of, like, you can't really help it, right? Like, it kind of works the same as, like, what is it, body doubling? Or, like, accountability partners. Like, you tell someone that you're gonna do something, and because they're expecting you to do it, you're more motivated to do it. It's kind of like that. Like, when I have an audience here expecting my videos, I'm like, I need to do it for them. Like, I am talking directly to my audience right now, and I'm kind of breaking the fourth wall here, but I am talking directly to you right now. And so, like, having that mentality of, I'm doing this for my community, that makes it a lot more intriguing. It makes me a lot more inclined to want to do it. But whenever I feel like I'm just posting into the void, it's hard to get that motivation back. And I don't mean that in, like, an ungrateful kind of way. I'm super grateful, extremely grateful for the people that I've met so far, and being able to make these videos and stuff for you. But it's kind of hard sometimes, you know? But then last week I didn't even post a video because to be honest, I just didn't prioritize it, because I had friends come into town, and I prioritized spending time with them, and then I prioritized, like, overtime at work, and then it was Father's Day too, so I prioritized that. But so I didn't prioritize this, and I could have made the time, and I just didn't. And like in between even all of that, I could have made the time, and instead I chose to slack off and like do other things, like played a little bit of Marvel Rap, not even that much, but I could have made the time. I was doing and like my Spanish lessons and stuff like that, but that only takes, like 20 minutes a day, and I don't know. But because of that, I missed an upload, and that's the second upload that I've missed so far, and like the second one in the past 2 months. And actually, I kind of had the thought months ago. I like had a thought of, what if I take 1 week off every month, or even like every 3 months or whatever. That way I can kind of give myself a break, like give myself a week that I can look forward to, where I can just do whatever the heck I want. And maybe that would have been a good thing too, but I was so set on the idea of posting a video every single week this year. There were even a couple of weeks where I posted 2, but then also a couple of weeks where I posted none now. And the first one, I was because I was sick and I literally couldn't record, but I could have had videos prepared. Ooh, shoot, that's a Talos. But I could have had videos prepared ahead of time, and I didn't. And this time I just didn't make the time for it. It was entirely my fault. And I don't know, I'm not even as upset at myself as maybe I should be. A little, but also I don't regret anything, because I made the time for things that were more important to me, and I just kind of needed a breather. But this week I'm back into it, but I am kind of going back to wondering if I should take a week off every few weeks, or every few months or whatever. But also, YouTube rewards consistency, and I want YouTube to see that I'm being consistent. I want to prove myself around here, and I want to do the things that I need to do to achieve the result that I want to achieve. I want to do things right. So, Blood Moon. Where is it? I think it's off to the left around the canyon. Here we go. So yeah, and I wish that it was a little easier to just give yourself a break when you need it. But life goes on whether you're ready for it to go on or not. And it's kind of, as hard as that fact can be, it's also kind of a good thing, because no matter what happens, good or bad, life goes on. And it's kind of beautiful, I guess. But it does kind of mean that just because you're not ready for things to move on doesn't mean they won't. Unfortunately, just because you're tired doesn't mean you don't still have to pay the bills. So you gotta keep going to work. And it is what it is. But also, on the same vein, like I said, it can also be a good thing. Just because you've had this horrible, awful thing happen to you, a breakup or a death in the family or whatever, anything, doesn't mean that life won't still go on. And ultimately, things will change, things will get better, maybe some things will get worse, but things are always changing, and your life in 5 years is probably gonna look different from your life now. And, well, I don't know. I guess, purely based on the fact that so many people end up in the same career and stuff for like 30 years or more. Maybe your life in 5 years will not be that different, but maybe it will. And I think that is entirely dependent on you and what you decide to do with yourself, with your life, with your job, with your relationships, your hobbies, anything. And I think that the opportunity for experiences is out there if you are willing to go looking for it. So go to anime conventions and take a trip to Spain and learn the language. Do whatever, because I mean, going back to the early 2000s or 2010s, I don't even remember. You only live once. So enjoy it. Take those opportunities when they come. I mean, I think that like back before I had a dog, maybe it would have been cool to do something like being a flight attendant or like working on a cruise ship or something where you get to travel lots of places like as your job, but I prioritize my animals too much to do something like that now. Plus I couldn't live without my dog, to be honest. She is my emotional support. These dang Yiga. This is totally off topic, but yeah, I might have said this in a previous video, I don't remember, but I think it's going to be so funny when I do learn how to like speak Spanish, like at least conversationally fluent, and I really want to speak it in like a super redneck accent, just for the heck of it, just like make native Spanish speakers cringe a little bit, like wait, let me think of I can't say a lot of phrases yet, but like, yo quiero un café. Like, it was inspired by this girl that I saw in a TikTok who, she's like from Texas, I think, but she lives in Japan, and basically the TikTok was her speaking Japanese in a Texan accent, and it was so funny hearing Japanese words in the most like southern accent you can imagine, and I loved that. And I'm 100% going to do that whenever I become more better at speaking Spanish. More better. But yeah, that's my plan. But I feel like things are going pretty well as far as like my journey of learning Spanish so far. I get excited whenever I like I've learned a word, and then like I recognize it in media or music or whatever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know that. Now I know what they're saying, kinda, sorta ish. I know like one word out of the sentence, but one day I'm gonna be able to learn all the word, like understand all the words in, well, there's this, my favorite artist is, like, musical artist is Alan Walker, and he has this song called On My Way, which is Sabrina Carpenter and then a guy singing it, and it's not like Sabrina Carpenter's new stuff. I'm not that big on her new stuff, but so Alan Walker's an EDM artist, so that song is like a lot more EDM-esque. But anyway, part of the song is in Spanish, and one day I'm going to figure out what he's saying in the song. I know part of it, like the first words he says are lo siento, which means I'm sorry, which I now know means I'm sorry, because I did for a really long time did not know it at all. But Now I know. And one day I'll be able to know what they're saying in Despacito. I just said that super Texan. Oh my gosh, Despacito. Shoot, I don't even. Despacito. But I know that means slowly. And I know at one point in the song he says poquito, poquito. And I think that means a little, like little. But I know that that song is not the most appropriate. And I'm only, like 10 years late to the party, learning what that song says, like 10 years late to it actually being popular. I don't remember what year it actually came out, but it was in like it was when I was in high school, so it must have been like 2015 to 2017-ish. Somewhere in there. I don't remember. The last 26 years are a blur for me. Also, this goes way back to the previous topic, but I'm realizing I have had a lot of sugar today. This morning I had a coffee, which was a no sugar added, like those little Starbucks drinks. I did not intentionally pick no sugar added, but because it tastes not so great. You know that like nasty aftertaste of fake sugar? That's what it tastes like. But anyway, I had one of but I didn't finish it because I couldn't take the taste. But I did have one. And then at lunch, I got Taco Bell, and I had a Dr. Pepper, and then a friend of mine at work brought me a grape flavored Powerade, which, how come Gatorade doesn't have grape flavor? It's pretty good. So I had some of that, saved the rest for like work tomorrow, and then I went to McDonald's for dinner. It's because I was having a bad day at work and I needed food that would make me happy. So that's why I got Taco Bell for lunch. And then I got McDonald's for dinner because whenever I get gas, I stop at McDonald's because I hate having to stop for gas. So stopping at McDonald's right before makes it a more enjoyable experience. Makes me actually look forward to needing to stop for gas. But so then I had a Coke, but I didn't finish my Coke either. I actually didn't drink that much because I pulled up to the speaker and I already placed my order on the app. And she goes, I don't know if you're actually going to want your Coke because we don't have any ice. And I was like, it's 104 degrees outside. Are you kidding me? But I was like, you know what? It's probably going to still be at least a little cold coming out of the machine. So I was like, just go ahead. I'll take it. It was not that cold. A little unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I didn't finish that. And then just now I was drinking, I have this aloe vera drink that it's like, it sounds kind of weird, but it's good. It's got aloe like pulp in it. And I'm not big on like orange juice pulp, but aloe pulp is good because you, how do I explain what it's kind of like, oh my gosh, what do I compare it to? See, I told you I can't think today. But I don't know, it's like nice to chew, unlike orange pulp. But the drink is pretty sugary, so. But also for Father's Day, we ordered Rudy's barbecue, and like my dad and we had ordered 2 barbecue potatoes, but they sent us somebody else's order, which was 2 pounds of brisket and a pound of sausage, and then a whole loaf of Wonder Bread. And honestly, I don't like sausage. I'm not big on sandwich bread. Brisket, I'm like, it's good, but it doesn't have much flavor. So I wanted my potato, which was gonna come with, it's called Rudy's Chopped, is like the meat choice, but like basically I think it's pulled pork that's mixed in with barbecue sauce, and it's really good. It's really good. And I was really looking forward to that dang potato. But I mean, it was going to be a $50 meal, and instead we got $80 worth of food. Plus, so last night I took out some of that brisket and I made some rice and put the brisket in there, added some cheese, added a bit of barbecue sauce, and it was pretty good. And I know barbecue sauce and rice sounds like an odd combination, but it was good. It was delicious. But then, of course, tonight I had my McDonald's, so I did not have more brisket rice. But maybe I should bring it for lunch. That might be pretty good. But I don't know. For work lunches, usually I bring those like frozen meals. Like, you know, you get like the frozen TV dinners. That's the term. I bring like TV dinner type meals. And I just throw them in the microwave for 5 minutes. And then, bam. Easy $3 dinner. So it's a pretty good deal. Pretty cheap for a meal and easy, super easy. I mean, shoot, it's cheaper than a meal from McDonald's. Shoot, it is insane how much McDonald's prices have raised in recent years. I used to be able to get back when McDonald's Frappuccinos first came out, they were $3 for like a large, or at least a medium. But I used to be able to get a double hamburger, a hot and spicy McChicken, medium fries, and a mocha frappuccino for $7 back when I was in high school. So like 10 years ago. Now, to get a medium fry, a double hamburger, and a Coke, that's it. A basic meal. It is $10. Can you believe a double hamburger at McDonald's is $4? What in the actual world? What? On what planet? And it's kind of crazy because you can get 2 single hamburgers for a little bit cheaper than you can get 1 double hamburger. That makes no sense. It's 1 extra patty for a double hamburger. You get 2 hamburgers, you're getting twice the pickles, twice the buns, twice the ketchup and mustard and onions, and it's the same 2 patties. Why is a double hamburger $4? It makes zero. But if you order a Happy Meal with a hamburger, which I of course learned this whenever they had Pokemon cards in the Happy Meals for a bit earlier this year. If you get a Happy Meal and get a single hamburger, you can add an extra patty for 80 cents. But I have not figured out if there's a way to do that with like an adult meal. But I mean, if you did that, it would just be double hamburger. But like, why can you get an extra patty for 80 cents on a kid's meal, but then a double hamburger is $4? Dude, I'm so upset about this. But so what I do now to get a $5 meal is I go on the app, I don't order a double hamburger, I order a hot and spicy McChicken, and then I replace the lettuce and mayonnaise with ketchup, mustard, and pickles so that it's more like a burger, because I don't like mayonnaise. And so I get that, and then I get a medium Coke, and then I redeem, they always have free fries. They used to only have free fries on Fridays, and still, like, it'll say free fries Friday or free fry Friday, whatever, whenever you open the app on a Friday. But you can actually get a free medium fry at any time with a minimum purchase of $1. And you can tell I eat at McDonald's way too much, but so I redeem the free medium fries. So I save $3.40 on the free fries. And you know what else is crazy is the fact that I'm so passionate about this. a medium fry is 10 cents more expensive than the basket of fries. What? On what planet does that make sense? With a basket of fries, you get you should look up the size of a basket of fries, because you get, it's probably like, it's more than a large fry, but a large fry is like $4 and something cents. So a basket of fries, you get like, probably it's like 2 medium fries worth dumped in there. So many fries, and it's $3.29, whereas a medium fry is $3.39. And when I'm ordering McDonald's with other people, I feel like bad saying I want a basket of fries, even though it's literally like, if somebody else is paying, I feel bad saying that, even though it's literally saving money, because it looks like it's gonna cost more money, but it's actually not. And then I try to explain that, and I don't know. I just feel like I feel like I have to explain myself, like, no, you're actually saving money by me getting more fries. It's silly, but McDonald's, eating out is so expensive. Just stupid fast food. Like, the original purpose of fast food was to be cheap and fast, and they lost the cheap, and they kind of lost the fast. Like, it's not terrible. Like, it's not like you're going to a steakhouse and waiting for them to cook the food, but, I mean, the amount of times that I've been sent to the curbside spot to wait for my food to come out, kind of crazy. Although, like, that's not really their fault, because if things aren't ready, then they're not ready. Plus, if I'm ordering, like, my special hot and spicy with ketchup, mustard, and pickles instead of lettuce and mayonnaise, then I guess they have an excuse. But I am just appalled at the prices, specifically. You can't afford to eat at home, can't afford to eat out, can't afford to eat, can't afford to survive, can't afford to rent an apartment, can't afford life. It is absolutely insane. Minimum wage is way too low. I'm not gonna get political here, but man, the economy freaking sucks. Freaking McDonald's, man, this is so insane. Loco. Loco is a Spanish word that I've known, like, my entire life. My mom, we used to say it. But also, I think there's, like, a sign, like, sign language sign, where you, kind of, like, point at your head and then, like, spin your finger around in a circle, and it means crazy. So, my, like, mom would always do that. Like, when she was calling someone crazy, or, like, calling me crazy, whatever, she would point at her head and say, loco, like, you're loco. But she was a funny woman. Awesome, though. Absolutely awesome. Ooh, that tree is alive. Let me just escape. Like, that's a movie that I have watched way too many times. Finding Nemo. Specifically, whenever I was in school, that it was teachers' go-to movie to kill an afternoon, kill a class period, whatever. And, well, of course, by that I mean, like, take up time. To kill time. That's what I'm saying. But, like, couldn't go out to recess in elementary school, Finding Nemo. It was state standardized testing week for another group, like another grade, and we all had to be, like, quiet and calm in the band hall or whatever. Finding Nemo. That explanation was way too long, but you get my point. And even whenever I was in aquatic science, obviously, we watched Finding Nemo. And that was where I learned that the song that Mr. Ray sings is the zones of the ocean. And I know he literally says that, but like, I don't remember. I remember epipelagic and abyssopelagic, and that's it. Basically, there's the zones, let's name the zones of the open sea. There's epipelagic, abyssopelagic. All the rest are too deep for you and me to see. But yeah, he's naming the zones of the ocean. So when I learned the zones of the ocean, it was fun watching that scene. Be like, I know this. I know what he's talking about now. I did not know as a kid. Probably wouldn't know as an adult. If not for aquatic science class. And, my proudest moment in aquatic science was when, obviously, also, I took aquatic science because of my ex who loved fish and wanted to be a marine biologist. Obviously. But yeah, so my proudest moment in aquatic science was when we had to pick an ocean species and make a model of it. Most people picked fish because, I mean, that's kind of most of what's in the ocean. But I liked snakes. So I picked an eel species called, what was it called? It was like the banana something eel, I think. Basically, it's a yellow eel with black spots. And I made a model of it. And the teacher liked it so much, he hung it up from the ceiling. Because that was like his favorite models from each year he would hang on the ceiling. So like there's a bunch from previous years and stuff. But like mine was good enough to make it on the ceiling. I was so proud of that. I basically made it out of, I don't remember what I put. I think I put like a coat, like unraveled a wire coat hanger and used that as like the base to keep the body in shape. And then I got this kind of insulation tube from Home Depot and used that for the body. And then I got poster paint to paint it yellow, but I should have, and I got foam to, like, really thin foam to put in the middle and, like running down its body as the fin. But then I got, like, yellow poster paint to paint the body, but I should have gotten a different type of paint, because what I didn't realize was poster paint is super thin, which makes sense if it's just intended to be on cardstock. But, so, as it dried, it cracked all over, but it still looked okay, but you just can't get too close to it, and then it starts to look kind of blah. But got the poster, black and yellow poster paint to make it yellow with black dots, and then I had to, for the super like sharp needle teeth, I took toothpicks and broke off the points of the toothpicks and then stuck them in. Honestly, it worked pretty darn well, and I was so proud when he hung it from the ceiling. Man, I was winning at life that day. And that was also the year that I had a dog at school, because I was raising a guide dog for the blind. Well, with the organization Guide Dogs for the Blind. And that was a super cool experience, especially like as a high schooler, getting to take my dog to school, and everyone loved him. He made it into the school yearbook. It was awesome. He was supposed to walk the stage with me, but the local, or not, the city newspaper came and like did a story on us. I don't say that in like a braggy way. It's part of the context. But because they did a story on us, and then all of a sudden the whole city saw that it, like, they had written in the newspaper that the dog was going to be walking the stage with me. And the reason I'm avoiding saying the dog's name is because not that I don't want to say his name, but it's kind of unique, kind of searchable. So they had written that he was going to be walking the stage with me, because that was the plan. That was what, like, I had talked to the principal about and stuff. But the school district saw that, and they said, oh no, a dog can't walk the stage, it'll ruin the integrity of the event. Literally, that's what they said, is that it would disrupt the integrity of the event. And everyone was like, you have got to be kidding me. What the heck? Everyone would love it. What? It's a high school graduation. And this dog has been here the whole year. You're saying he doesn't deserve to graduate with us? He was literally going off to college too, because right before I went to college, he was whenever his time with me ended, and he went to go back to California, or actually he went to the Oregon campus to do his like next level of training, where he would like, I taught him basic obedience and socialization, and so he would move on to the part of training where he got to learn like guide dog specific stuff. So I love the dragons in this game. So yeah, he didn't get to graduate with us, or he didn't get to walk the stage with us, but he still wore his little graduation hat because somebody donated one, because they were like, well, he still deserves to dress like a graduate. So appreciated that. But he definitely deserved to graduate with us, and I was so disappointed, but still, being in the newspaper was cool, so I guess I can't say I regret anything. But it was just a really awesome experience having him at school. Plus, I got a free pass to be late to class because walking him across that giant campus was a bit of a pain at times. And then, of course, there were times when he needed to go outside, and we'd have to do that. But also, there were also a couple of times. Actually, he had this issue for some reason. I don't know why it started or why it kept happening, but basically, I would take him outside, and he would not poop. But then, as soon as we walked inside and started walking down the hallway, he would stop and have to go in the middle of the hallway. I could not get him to go outside. I don't know what his deal was, but this dog only wanted to poop in the middle of the hallway. And with so many other people around, it was so embarrassing. And he did it he did it a lot. And we had our puppy trainer come and try to come to the school and try to figure out, I don't know why I said we, the dog and I, she came to the school and was trying to figure out why he was doing this, because I was I don't know what's going on. And she was well, let me see if I can figure out the triggers or whatever. She couldn't figure it out either. And he did it with her. I went outside with her and he wouldn't go. We walked inside, she was walking down the hallway, and he went. I don't know what the heck is we never got it figured out, but he doesn't do it anymore. Now that he's with his person that needs him. So that's good. But it was such a mess, man. And whenever he ended up in the yearbook, someone posted him, someone from my school posted him on Reddit, and people would one person commented under that post and said something about how they saw him poop in the hallway, and I was oh my gosh, that is so embarrassing. So yeah, that was that experience. But yeah, it was really cool. And what else? We had we went to we would do 2 meetings a month, basically. One was a meeting, or this was with the puppy raising group. One was a meeting, and then one was an outing, for socialization, practice being in a public place. So the meetings were obviously just at our designated meeting spot that we would use every month. But then the outings were wherever. One was at the airport. They had one that I didn't get to go to at a baseball game, so that's pretty interesting. Whenever I was flying him back, my mom and I were flying the dog back to Oregon for his training. We had him on the plane, right? And the flight attendant comes around and she like points down while making eye contact with me, and she goes, "You need to put your bag under the seat." And my mom goes, "That's a dog." And she looks down and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know, he was so calm. He was such a good boy." And a similar thing kept happening in my classes, where people would think that he was a jacket on the floor, and sometimes people would step on his, like, accidentally step on his tail, because they just thought, like, they weren't even paying attention, they just thought it was part of somebody's jacket that was laying on the floor. So that was interesting. Also, there was this one time where he was taking a nap in one of my classrooms while we were all taking a test, and this kid next to me was also taking a nap. He had finished his test, he put his head down, and he fell asleep. And all of a sudden, these sounds like start coming from our corner of the classroom, and it was like really weird. Like, I don't remember exactly what the sound was, but like kind of like a kind of like that. And I and everyone else in the classroom thought it was the kid who was sleeping next to me. It was the dog. For some reason, even though I was like, the dog was on my left and the kid was on my right, I didn't realize where the sound was coming from. I thought it was the poor kid. Everyone thought it was the kid. Oh my gosh. That was funny. Also, nobody was like allowed to touch the dog while he was quote unquote working. So like anytime he had his vest on, which is like anytime he's out of the house, he has to have his vest on and he's in working mode, unless he's doing his business, in which case you take the vest off because they're not supposed to do their business while wearing the vest. But as a treat for the last day of school, in all my classrooms, especially my college algebra classroom, because my teacher there absolutely loved him, I took his vest off and let him like run around the classroom, and then anyone who wanted to pet him could. But my college algebra teacher absolutely adored him, and he had the best day of his life petting that dog. It was so sweet. That was a good year. I spent a ton of time in the counselor's office because that was my, like, what's the word? Like, my hub? What's the word? Like, my base of operations for everything with the dog. Because his kennel was there, and it would be where I would take him, or like where I would leave him. I would leave him with the counselor's secretaries while I was in certain classes, like if I like science for the, or like aquatic science, because we would have labs and stuff. And it's funny because the dog was a lab, but you know, like we would have dissect squid. That we did that one time. Also, that smelled so terrible because it smelled like the typical preservative that they use for things that you dissect, but it also smelled really strongly of fish. So that was kind of a miserable experience. But so yeah, for science and for band, I would leave the dog in the counselor's office. They would take care of him for me, and he would pretty much just sleep the entire time he was in there. But it's so sweet, he always knew when I was coming, and I don't know how, but like, cause like, you know, they can recognize footsteps and stuff, but I would be walking up like on the, like it, from a different, I would be walking up from the hallway, packed full of people, and it was outside the room, like you had to open a door to get into the counselor's office. But he always knew when I was coming. Like, from being dead asleep, he knew when I was coming. So cool. Anyone else walked in? Nah, he didn't care. He'd stay asleep. But he woke up and, like, would excitedly watch the door when I was coming. And that made me feel so special. Also, for all the dress-up days, like, for every week for football games and stuff, we would have spirit days. So for all the spirit days, I dressed him up with me. There was one where it was our school colors. I just put him in a shirt. But there was, for twin day, I basically just, like, I didn't dress him up that day, but I dressed up as him. Like, I painted my nose black and wore a green shirt to match his vest, and then I, like, put my hair in pigtails to resemble his ears. For Hawaiian Day, he and I both wore leis, and for homecoming, I had a mum, and he had because we're in Texas, so we do that stuff, and he had what is it called? A garter? Garter. But it's weird because it's not the same kind of garter as, like, women wear around their legs under their wedding dresses. But I'm pretty sure garter is the right word, though. So, yeah, he had that. He was so cute. He was cooperative but unhappy to dress up. He's such a good boy. I dressed him up in a sweater and reindeer antlers for Christmas and brought him to school like that. It was awesome. He was such a good boy. Is such a good boy. He is still a good boy. But he's old now. He might, I don't know how long he'll work until he, like, has to retire. I'm not really sure what the criteria are for retiring, because he actually ended up he's not a guide dog for the blind like he was originally intended to be. They call it career change to a different, I won't get too specific because I don't want to accidentally give away information about the person he's with now, but he got career changed to be a different type of disability dog, and or a different type of, like, assistance animal. So the criteria for when he has to retire is different, because with guide dogs for the blind, it's super strict. Like, they obviously need to be in top shape because the person, they're the person's eyes. Like, there's a lot of safety risks that come from a dog not being in absolute top form and of completely sound mind and body. But for other types of service dog work, the criteria for being able to continue the work is less strict, less intense. So I'm not sure when they're going to, like, make him retire, but we'll see. He just turned 9 years old, I think. So he's getting up there in years. He's such a sweet boy. Oh, we'll see. Oh, but he's doing great. And his person's doing great. They make a great, like, he has opened up that person's life in so many ways, like, made so many more things possible for them that weren't previously possible. It's awesome. He's doing really great things. Service animals are usually dogs. Technically, miniature ponies can also, in some cases, be service animals, but like, only miniature ponies and dogs are allowed to be service animals. Anything can be an emotional support animal or a therapy animal, but service animals are different. It has to be a dog, or in some cases, a miniature pony. But yeah, so service dogs are incredible, amazing, and which is why it really sucks when people have fake service dogs, and they just make it hard for the people with real service animals who are trying to just exist, and it gets a lot harder with people and their fake service animals ruining things, making them look bad, and things like that. I actually have a story I want to tell. Back when I was in college, I was out shopping at Walmart with one of my roommates, and this guy walks up to us. We're, like, in the women's clothing section, and this guy walks up to us, and he's with two friends, and one of them's holding a phone in our faces, so we know, like, they're recording, and he's holding it upright. And this was 2019 when TikTok was, like, really starting to take off. And so, I mean, obviously we knew that he was recording. And so whenever he asked, like, okay, so here, let me set up the scene for you. We're standing there, these guys walk up to us, and, like, one is in the lead, and he, like, takes a couple steps toward us, and he leans in a little bit, and he goes, "You want to kiss? You ladies want to kiss?" And I know exactly what he's doing here, because I have seen this prank before. It's, like, old as time. So I know that he's about to offer us, well, sorry, let me not spoil it for you. But I'm sure all of you already know exactly what I'm talking about because, like I said, oldest prank in the book. So, I mean, we say no. Well, no, okay, let me just explain it, in case you somehow don't know. Not that it's bad if you don't. If you're if you're out of the loop a little bit, let me help you out. So basically, he asks if you want to kiss. If you say yes, he pulls out a Hershey's Kiss. If you say no, his joke is just kind of ruined. But we said no, obviously. This random stranger. And like I said, we knew exactly what he was doing. It's obvious. So, but he basically just pulls out the bag of Hershey's Kisses and goes, "Oh, but it was gonna be like this kind of kiss." And we're like, still, no thanks, bye. So, but like, I did not want to be on camera. I was like so mad. I was like, I did not consent to this, to being recorded. I do not want to be on some random kid's TikTok page. So I hid behind my friend. She was a lot more like bold and upfront than I was. And so she just like told him, no, go away. But I like hid behind her because I did not want to be on camera. Like, I did not agree to this. I was never asked. So, but we ended up finding his TikTok page later on. Like, we recognized him, confirmed that he went to our school, and even saw the pranks, like the videos that he had made doing it to other people. He actually never ended up posting our video, which I'm glad about, but I mean, I'm sure we weren't very entertaining because we didn't play along with his little skit, or his little joke. But it was just so uncomfortable. Like, social media really makes people bold. It really makes people think they can just walk up and shove their phones in other people's faces and expect them to play along. Like, what the heck? Anyway, it's just like, a harmless joke is fine. Like, kind of annoying if it's a super obvious one like that. But, like, it's fine. But recording me without my permission, no, that's just messed up. That's not okay. But, you know, he was trying to be one of those big guys who are on TikTok who have the prank channels. Maybe he got into the interview thing. Who knows? I don't remember anything about him to be able to look him up again. But it was just frustrating. But yeah, so don't go shove your phone in people's faces. Don't record them without their permission. It's not cool. Speaking of college, I was in a Christian cult in college. Potential trigger warning for this one, but it wasn't, well, I don't know. There were definitely some things, but basically, like, I didn't even realize how cultish it was until I was, like, at the end. Like, I didn't realize at first how cultish it was, but basically it was this group that had, like, I won't get too specific, but they had Greek words as their name, like the way that sororities do, but it wasn't a sorority or fraternity. It was like a Christian group, and it was the biggest Christian group on campus, and there were multiple thousands of people that were part of it. Like, it got so big that we couldn't do a single service anymore. They had to split it up into 5 services throughout the week. And then, like, you would get assigned a group leader depending on who your small group leader, like our small groups got divided into different groups, and then each group would have its own day and time to have like the midweek service. But they did all the cult stuff. They did love bombing. Wait, shoot, suddenly I forgot. I looked up the list of I looked up all the things that cults do, and they matched pretty much every single thing on the list. But like, wait, let me just like pull up that list actually. Hang on. Okay, here we go. And again, potential trigger warning, but so many things, just reading off the first few things of this list, they all apply. There's the charismatic leader, so like, which is, you know, the pastors, and they're preoccupied with bringing in new members. Obviously, that's just what Christians do, is they want to convert people to their religion. Preoccupied with making money, yes. Oh my gosh, one of the most annoying things that they would do is, and I sound like such a hater. I'm not like a hater of Christianity. I'm just very frustrated with the cult that I was in. But so they would do this thing. Basically, they had sort of a program where you could become a missionary, quote unquote, but like on campus, like a campus missionary, I think is what they literally called it. But it's not like they would pay you to so the way that it worked was like, once you graduated, you could become a campus missionary, but you know, only if you had proven yourself, you had become a small group leader and like progressed from there. But they did not pay you to be a campus missionary. Instead, you would have to make your money by getting people to consistently donate to you to do this, which meant going to all of their friends and family to beg for money. And it was really bad the way that they encouraged it, because if you had ever been even remotely involved in this group, someone at some point was going to reach out to you, even if you hadn't talked to that person more than like twice. Having been like part of the group, I had this happen to me several times, where one of these people that I barely knew would reach out to me, and then they would make it seem like they just wanted to hang out. They'd be like, oh, let's get some coffee and catch up, and like, I kind of want to know how your life is going. They would make it seem sweet and innocent, but then you'd get there and they'd be like, okay, so here's the deal, I need money. Obviously they would try to put it in a more endearing way, but that was the gist of it. Basically, they would be like, they would ask how your life was going, you'd explain, or, you know, you'd give them the rundown, or like, things are good, how are things with you, and then they'd get into their spiel, be like, oh, well, things are good, I just started being a campus missionary, and we're doing such great things, and blah, 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 and then it would lead into, and actually, I don't remember how they, like, brought up the money part, but basically saying that they needed support, and what they were doing was so good and important, and it's so frustrating, because you feel betrayed when you think that somebody genuinely wants to just hang out with you, get a coffee with you, and then it turns out all they wanted that whole time was money. That feels like a betrayal. But anyway, other checklists of a cult. Mind-numbing techniques such as meditation, chanting, speaking in tongues, etc., etc. Yeah, they definitely did all that. We were a quote-unquote non-denominational group, but it was more like Southern Baptist, really, but like they did the whole speaking in tongues thing and the spiritual gifts and things like that. But I won't keep reading the list because this could definitely be a triggering topic. But if you would like me to go into depth with it more in a later video, let me know, because I will. I just don't want to surprise, without prompting. I don't want to get too deep into this and set someone's emotions off or anything like that. But yeah, it was a mess, and oh my gosh, it goes so deep. The lore goes so deep. When I was still a Christian, I was in that group, I was trying to leave to go to a different group because I was sick of mostly I was super sick of how intensely judgmental they were. They were so judgmental, and honestly, that's kind of been my experience with Christianity, like Christians as a whole. Not that I dislike people just for being Christian or anything like that, but I do have my issues with it as a religion, but just because of the things that it encourages. But there are tons of good Christians, so. But yeah, so I was trying to switch to a different group. That's it. That's all I was trying to do. And my small group leader. So basically, we had small group scheduled for that night. And she had asked me if I was coming. And I said, I don't think so. And she would I think she had asked me why not, or maybe I didn't even respond to the "are you coming," but somehow, so I don't have my read receipts turned on in texts, but for some reason, so on the iPhone you can turn it on for specific people. For some reason it was turned on for only her. I must have accidentally done it at some point. It has never happened to me since. Sometimes I get paranoid that it's going to happen again, and so I'll go into my main settings and turn read receipts on and then turn them off again, because that resets it for everyone as far as I know. So sometimes I'm worried that somebody random in my contacts, I'll have the read receipt, because I don't know how this happened, and it has not happened to me since. Sometimes I kind of feel like that was the universe interfering, but I don't know. So basically, she had asked if I was coming. I don't remember if I responded or not, but I had left her on read, but I didn't know that she could see that I had read the message. I opened it and I didn't want to respond because I didn't want to deal with her, so I just didn't respond. And she saw that I read it and didn't respond because for some reason read receipts were turned on. So she didn't say anything about it at the time though. But that afternoon or evening or something, she came over to my house because she knew where I lived, because we lived on the same street. I think she knew where all the small group girls lived, which is kind of, but we lived on the same street, so she literally just walked to my house. And my roommate was previously in the same small group as us, but she became a small group leader, so then she was, had her own small group. But so I was at my house, my boyfriend at the time was in my room, and we were just hanging out, playing video games, and I hear my small group leader come over, and I'm gonna give her a name. Let's call her Mandy. I'm not gonna say what her actual name was, but we'll call her Mandy. So I hear her knocking at the door. My roommate answers it, and Mandy's voice starts coming through the door, and I am my room was right by the front door, so I was listening through the door, and basically she was "Oh, is Dova home?" And my roommate was "Well, yeah, she's in her room." So I hear a knock at my door, and it's Mandy. And she is like, "Can I talk to you?" And so I step out of my room, leave my partner in there, and go sit on the couch. And my roommate, like, she told me later that she wanted to leave, but she also felt like she should stay with me as support. So, and I'm glad she did stay with me, but like, she sat down on the couch next to me, and Mandy starts going off. She yelled at me for at least a solid 30 minutes, where she was telling me how I was walking away from Jesus because I wanted to leave the group that we were part of, which, no, that's not what was happening. She made comments about how she always saw my boyfriend's car at our house and blah, blah, blah. Just tons and tons of things. I wish I could remember everything she said. I mean, this was 6 years ago, so I do not remember the majority of what she said, but to be yelled at for 30 minutes by someone who's supposed to care about you and like be like a not authority figure, not that, but oh, she did call herself my spiritual authority. I was like, that is gross. Oh, mentor, that's the word. Someone who's supposed to care for you and be a mentor. It doesn't feel good. And that definitely cemented my decision to leave. Which is, the opposite of what she was going for. But, well, I don't really know what she was going for. She had to have known that wasn't going to make me want to come back. But she had also done something awful to the roommate that was sitting next to me. And so at one point, she was asking me, like, why do you want to leave? Why do you want to leave? And I kind of, like, side-eyed my roommate, like, not intentionally, but, like, because I was thinking about the awful thing that she had done to her. And she goes, why are you looking at her, huh? What? And I couldn't say that I knew about the thing that she had done to her because it was a secret that she had told me in confidence, and I wasn't gonna, like, drag her into this. Like, she was being kind, just being there for me. But that roommate and I have since fallen out, for reasons I can go into later. It's more life drama, but I feel like I'm giving you the cheese, May. But anyway, so she's yelling at me. Oh, no, yeah. So I, like, unintentionally side-eyed the roommate just because I was thinking about, like, the thing that she had done to her. And so she was yelling at me about, like, oh, why are you looking at her, huh? It was such an absolute mess. And then after all of that, yelling at me for 30 minutes, she goes home. And the next day, she comes back and knocks on the door. I open it because I'm a freaking nice person. I knew that it was her at the door, but because I looked through the peephole. But I opened it, and I mean, she knew I was home because she knew my car. But she is standing at the door, and she's like, "Can I come in?" And I should have said no, but I didn't know how to stand up for myself back then. So I let her come in. We sat on the couch, and this time we were sitting on the same couch, not across the room from each other, but she starts apologizing and saying, like, she doesn't know why she yelled, and she started crying as soon as she walked away. I'm like, well, why didn't you freaking apologize then? But whatever. And then she brings out the ultimate excuse. She goes, it's because I'm pregnant. Mind you, this was the first time I was hearing that she was pregnant. This was her way of announcing it to me. Someone that I had thought was a friend. She was announcing her pregnancy. She was honestly such a mean girl type, and I didn't pick up on it in the first, you know what, I've realized that I have a tendency to be way too willing to trust people and see the best in people, because I've been fooled by mean girl types multiple times throughout my life. And it, I guess more in my adult life, because like I tend to hang out with guys more than women, and because I don't know, I just like relate with them more, get along with them better. But whenever, I don't know, there have been multiple times like in somewhat recent work experiences, that I've thought that I could trust someone, and then she turned out to be a mean girl type and absolutely turned on me, bullied me. So, but I'm much better at standing my ground now than I used to be. So, but I still hate confrontation. But anyway, so that was her way of announcing to me that she was pregnant. And she thought that that made it all okay. But she left. Actually, my roommate came home while she was still there, and we like talked about it after. She was like, I can't believe you let her in. Like, I was like, I know I shouldn't have, but whatever. But after that, I officially left the cult and her small group, and proceeded to block her on everything. I blocked her number. I took her off of Facebook and Instagram and blocked her. And you know what? It felt good. It felt good to purge her from my life. But yeah, that's not how you get someone to stay in your group, by yelling at them and telling them that they're ruining their life and they're gonna go to hell and blah blah blah. So yeah, your one little small group does not equate to salvation. It's just so ridiculous, and I can't even believe that it happened that way, but it did. Add that to the list of things in my life that are just like absolutely insane. Make great stories though. Great drama, great chisme. Yeah. These people, man. Might as well tell you about what the roommate did that made us have a falling out. But basically, I used to be married, and so for my wedding, that roommate, because this happened a couple of years after that whole incident with Mandy, and so this roommate, I had asked her to be my bridesmaid whenever she and I were still like on good terms, but we ended up we living together was good the first year, and then the next year we lived apart, but then like we lived back together our junior year in college, and she, like, it was okay, but I definitely ended up getting closer to our other roommate at that time. But then the next year I ended up not being close with either of them anymore, because our other roommate that I had gotten closer to, who was like had like become my best friend basically, she got a new job where she was surrounded by people who were like a lot more into partying, drinking, stuff like that, which like no problem with that, but it turned her into a very different type of person, and a type of person that I no longer got along with. She just became a lot more like sassy and self-absorbed. But, and I'm not saying that I was a perfect person or a perfect roommate. I was not good about keeping up with the cleaning, and I know that was a pretty big flaw as a roommate. But what was I even saying? Oh yeah. So I'd asked both of them to be my bridesmaids, and one of the one that had like become my best friend, we'll call her Emily, and then the other one, we'll call the one that I had like grown up with and lived with for a few years instead of just like the last 2 or the last year and a half. Let's call her, I'm not good at coming up with the names on the spot. Let's call her Ashley. So Emily and I, Emily said that she couldn't come to my wedding anymore because it was going to be like, we were going to do like a cruise ship wedding, which is cheaper than it sounds. Like, honestly, cheaper than a regular wedding at like a regular venue. But it was right after COVID and they kept canceling the cruise weddings, so we ended up not being able to do that. And so, but she had dropped out already and we weren't friends anymore, so I didn't like re-ask her whenever the plan changed. But Ashley, she had still planned on being my bridesmaid. But come wedding time, like maybe a month before, no, not even, a few weeks I think, she told me that instead of coming to my wedding, being my bridesmaid, even though I had been her bridesmaid at her wedding, she decided that her husband's sister's high school graduation was more important. Which, you know what, if that's your priority, that's your priority, and I'm happy to not have you, I'm happy to know what your priorities are. And I'm not saying that a high school graduation isn't important, but she had already made the commitment to me, so I was pretty pissed off, to be honest with you. But thankfully, we had a last minute person who could step in, who had actually, like, been really good to us throughout the process of us being engaged and like had grown to be an important person, and she just like wasn't that significant in my life whenever I had originally asked my bridesmaids to be my bridesmaids, so I was able to have her step in, and she was the same size as Ashley for dresses, so she got to just use Ashley's dress that she had already bought. But Ashley was trying to make this new girl pay full price to buy the dress off her, and I was like, you are the one who abandoned me. So, but her mom, Ashley's mom, this feels like a telenovela or like a sitcom or something. Ashley's mom was my mom's best friend, so she was at the wedding, but Ashley was not, and she even said that she like didn't think that Ashley made the right decision, but she was in the room whenever I started. Somebody brought up Ashley, like someone in my bridal party brought up Ashley and like was asking me how I felt about the whole situation, and then I started going off about how angry I was and like frustrated that she just ditched me. But Ashley's mom was in the room, but honestly, she's such a sweet lady. She didn't like flip out or anything. In fact, whenever I talked to her after, because my mom had told me, hey, Ashley's mom was in the room when you were talking about that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel horrible. This is her daughter that I'm trash talking right in front of her. But I went and found her and apologized, and she said, actually, no, like, you're fine. That's your group of, like, that's your tribe, your people, and you are more than allowed to vent your feelings, vent your frustrations with them. I stepped out because I wanted you to be free to say whatever you wanted to say, whatever you needed to say, without having to feel like you were going to hurt me. So I really appreciate her for that. She was incredibly understanding considering the circumstances. But I appreciate people like that, man. It's nice. It's nice to have people who just let you be a flawed human being sometimes. Yeah, I was such an absolute mess. And this girl, I had known her since kindergarten. I had known Ashley since kindergarten. We were in Girl Scouts together, and our moms stayed for, even though like she and I went to different schools and stuff and didn't really like keep in touch much, didn't really talk again until college, honestly. But our moms stayed friends. Our moms were best friends. So she like stayed in my life. But you know, I had known this girl since kindergarten, and she, whenever I raised the service dog in high school, she actually raised my dog's sister at her school. For some reason, my situation, there were a lot more eyes on it. Like the newspaper that did a story on us, and like the television, like the news station, did not do, even though she's the whole reason that we did it, and like she deserved it more than I did. The school that I went to was more prominent, which is probably why that situation happened. But I don't know, I also like had maybe more connections, but I don't know, she deserved recognition. The whole thing happened because of her. It was like she's the one who found out about it and mentioned it, and like I don't remember if she asked if I wanted to do it or if she was just like talking about it and her mom told my mom about it. My mom was like, oh my gosh, Dova would love that. So that's how I got, but like I got into it because of her. But yeah, she raised my dog's sister, and like after all that, she chose her husband's sister's high school graduation over my wedding. But you know what? Neither here nor there at this point, because I don't want people like that in my life. So I am more than happy to cut out people who don't bring, like, people who only drag me down. More than happy to cut those people out. So I'm happy with the way that things, well, not that I'm like happy that happened, but like the girl who stepped in to be a bridesmaid instead, like she was awesome. I'm not upset that we had her instead of Ashley. Like, she was great. But it was just a crazy situation. I don't know. But her mom I was glad to have her mom there. She was very helpful throughout the wedding process. And she brought snacks, and somebody went out and got us McDonald's because we were starving. And I freaking love McDonald's. I don't know why. I don't know. It's my comfort food. Those fries, man, they're so good. But also, I like to get the, wait, no, I think I talked about this earlier. I like the hot and spicy McChicken. But they don't sell the hot and spicy McChicken everywhere. Like, they don't sell it around the world, but also they don't sell it in every state. And I guess I'm lucky that I live in a hot and spicy McChicken state. And I'm surprised it took them this long to come out with their version of chicken tenders. But those are new. Well, yeah, anyway, so girls are a lot of drama, which is probably why I don't get along with women as well as I get along with men. Men are a lot more, I don't want to say simple, but like generally more grounded. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate being able to just like hang out, play video games, and I don't know, I just like interest-wise also relate to guys more, I guess. But that's maybe a little getting too deep into Dova lore, but well, no, nothing's off limits here. Nothing is too deep. I mean, we talk about everything here. So, but yeah. I think that this is about where I'm going to leave it off, with this beautiful view. I love this game. So or just another shooting star that I'll probably never be able to find. And I have I would like to finish all the armor upgrades in this game, but collecting all the parts, especially the Lizalfo's tails, like the fire Lizalfo's tail, the tails don't drop that often, so it's so hard to collect. But yeah, maybe one day. I finally got all the shrines and light roots, so at least I got that done. But yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed your time here. I certainly have, and I appreciate you being here, spending this time with me, listening to me babble on and on about all this random stuff. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful night. Good night.